All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. A little different location this evening. Please make sure you sign in, especially if you want to speak about something. I think everybody here is pretty common with the drill. If you want to speak about something that's on the agenda, write it down back there. You can speak about it. If you want to speak about something that's not on the agenda, there's personal or there are comments, general public comments after the meeting. Appreciate everybody coming. First of all, we want to start off with a retirement recognition for Belinda Rivers. So, it's her chance to come up and shake my hand.
Go up there.
Yep.
She gotta do a twirl in that
So if we gotta get in the middle, I gotta make sure my hair is good and everything.
Oh, that's why she was sure.
There. There we go. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. And now it's your chance to speak and say whatever you wish.
Not whatever. It's being recorded. Oh, no, I'm just thankful. When I needed a job, when I had my second miracle child, and I wanted to stay, where I could be home with my child. And NCP provided that with third shift. So I could be home when he got home from school and when he left for school. So, 24 years in the school system
Wow.
with the kids, so I was very thankful for that.
Congratulations. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting.
No, I want to say, well, I'm in
All right, Dr. Shim, are there any revisions or corrections to the agenda this evening?
There are a few miscellaneous items. I've got some substitute bus drivers that should have been on the list. So those are added miscellaneous. There's an acceptable use policy in regard to technology that each year gets approved. This year the dates were changed from last year, so it needs to be approved. And then there's one change in the non-certified handbook that I'll cover when we get there that's included in the packet. And then under the transfer section, there are a couple more names of your personnel, but I'll detail those when we get there.
All right. So we'll move on to the minutes from the two previous meetings, the June 18th executive session and the June 18th regular session meeting. Put those together if we can. Are there any corrections, additions, questions about those minutes? If there are none, do we have a motion to approve? Kim has made the motion.
Second.
Gina with the second. All those in favor? It's like a 7-0 vote. We'll get abstaining. Okay, that's a 6-0-1. Zach abstaining. All right, we'll move on to financial business, payroll and claims. Dr. Schiff?
Yeah, pages 6 through 37, we see your typical payroll and claims, and you can see month to month and previous year for the same month as well in your agenda outline. Page 38, I want to point out, so if you take a look at page 38, you're going to see, we talked last month about how the draw had come in for the operations fund. And in the packet, outside of this page, the June 30th run doesn't show that either. So this is up to date with what the actual balance is. So I highlighted there for you. You can see the operations fund was 1.3699 million. And then after the draw, the total is 3.724273. So it is back to where we would expect it to be around this time of year. But last year, when you look at it, the draws coming in late. It doesn't look so good with that other $2+ million in there. So I just kind of want to point that out. I know I mentioned it last time. I thought you might want to see it in that format. Any questions on that? not, the other thing I'd point out is page 46. I think is worth taking a look at, just from the standpoint of, again, on this comparative cash flow report, it's quarterly. So if you look 1, 2, 3, 5 lines down from the top on the far right column. So far right column down 5, you see that 1.369 million again. That's that number that again was prior to the 2 plus coming into the accounts. So just kind of like point that out. Because it doesn't include the draw. And then pages 47 to 49, you've got your typical ACA accounts, 50 to 51, utilities. Outside of those, not a whole lot, I think, to point out out of the norm right now. Just ultimately, if you don't have questions, approve that you're asking to approve them as presented.
All right, questions, comments? On the payroll claims, financial reports, ECA reports, and utility cost summaries. If there are none, do we have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Elise has made the motion. Seconded by Mark. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, donations. Zach, would you like to read those, please?
Yeah. Park County Community Foundation, Marvin and Maryland Road Heritage Fund, $5,000. Western Indiana Community Foundation, $2,000. Park County REMC, $2,000 for a total of $9,000.
All right, we appreciate all of those donors. That's a big sum of money for come from 3 different entities. So we have a motion to approve. Nick has made the motion. Zach with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay.
So, Sheila, can I ask a question on the inclusive playground equipment? Because we got quite a bit for that. Do we have a plan for that?
I don't have those plans yet. And I just circled both of those to have conversations.
Okay.
And that won't probably tie into the conversation of the renovation. That's probably more so for what we currently have. One thing that I know that Kristen and I have talked about before is getting a sidewalk that works a little bit better. The slope out there is a little bit steep. We need to get that straightened out. So, but I need to make sure that that's what they want to do and what we need.
All right. So there are,
What's that?
It's for one piece of equipment, and it's for a merry-go-round. So the wheel with a wheelchair actually onto the merry-go-round with the other kids. So that's what that put it for. We just want to use it for.
So we will still have the sidewalk piece, we'll have to address
Yeah.
some of that. We'll address.
all right, there are no requests for communications tonight. Let's move on to new business. We got a list of personnel things there. Dr. Chuck?
Yeah, you know, we have Belinda's retirement here. We've got her letter there for you. Her last day as custodian, I should say TRES, is 8/5/2025. We've got a resignation from Shane Pyatt for auto tech. We ended up choosing not to accept that position, not to take that position. Ashley Dooley had a verbal resignation for that 50/50 position she was going to do, and also resignation from her ECAs. And then new hires, Vicki Harbison at our Heritage Middle School, she's going to do 21 hours a week, basically 3 days a week in the library. Caleb Cooper, who is a licensed teacher, will be filling in at level A for a temp position until October 9th. And we got Travis Hart in auto tech, will be hired with a workplace specialist license, he will be hired in a level A. Amanda Phillips, instructional assistant at high school, 5 3/4 hours. Michelle Smith, custodian at RES, 8 hours. Jessica Wolford, custodian at TRES, 5 hours. And Delilah Ryan, custodian, Turkey Run Elementary, 8 hours. Questions so far? Transfers, these are listed as transfers, as much as anything, we need to get an end date for these individuals who transferred over to Chartwell's and away from the school corporation. Two names that I needed to add on here, Sandra Gleason and Darlene Jeffries. Also, Tammy Breedlove, Elizabeth Rooks, Jada Lewis, Heather Herndon, Linda Johnson, Maria Fox, Michaela Smith, Stevie Pearman, Evelyn Smiley, Christina Myers, Patricia Wallace, and they all transferred over to Chartwell's, and their final day at NCP was July 1st, 2025. In addition, Arlene Sandusky Ains is going to be moving into the North Central Park Community School Corporation Food Service Director role. That's for 10 hours a week or less at $20.75 an hour. That position, that's the pay rate that the position was previously when it was a full-time position. However, it's not now a full-time position since we're bringing Chartwell's on. We still have to have somebody hired by the corporation to do some oversight and to still handle certain components, but it's not a full-time position. So she'll work closely with them, but she's under the auspices of this board. Then there's some ECAs listed within your packets, and I can go through all of those if you like. Get to the right page. Page 55. On page 55, you got the boys basketball positions. We're recommending Rich Shelsky as varsity coach, Landon Nuno, JV coach, full assistant stipend. Assistant coach Corey Ransom, 1/2 assistant stipend. Assistant coach Mitch Simmons, 1/2 assistant stipend. Assistant coach volunteer Bruce Patton. Assistant coach volunteer Roger Rao. Cheerleading varsity coach Natalie Hartwriter. Assistant coach Bethany Tidwell and assistant coach Michaela Rader. They would split the pay of that position. Dance varsity coach Anna Games. Assistant coach Courtney Lash and volunteer Molly King. Wrestling, boys varsity coach Tyler Thornton, boys assistant coach Dustin Maxfield, boys volunteer Jared Graves, girls varsity coach Jeff Stevens, girls assistant coach Travis Hart, girls volunteer Dee Householder, and girls volunteer Katie Gallup. And finally, in personnel, back to page 4 of your agenda, you have corporation route drivers and bus drivers. Their route numbers are not listed here because I didn't have those at that time, but we're getting them approved as drivers, or I'm asking for you to approve them as drivers. Paula Branham, Lori Williams, Christina Hale, Tiffany Trussell, Pam Reynolds, Kayla Hookerson, Dawn Crowder, pending her CDL. Aaron McCoy, Teresa Beverly, Allie Woods, Dave Sims. Dave Sims would be driving for Jeff Kerr on that contract. Dave Beverly, Jake Gwynn, who would be a sub, pending his CDL completion, and then Raylene Swain, who's still on contract. Finally, on personnel, we have special ed routes with Christina Beverly, Debbie Duplanty, Portia Shaw, and Rick Akers. Questions on any of those personnel? And if not, I would recommend you approve them as presented.
There are no questions, comments, concerns. Do we have a motion? Louise has made the motion.
Second.
Kim with the second. All those in favor? 670. Okay, Neola policy.
All right, so I sent you a large batch of Neola policies. Some of these are going to seem repetitive because you've seen them before. Neola from year to year updates items. And there are a couple times a year that there's large, massive policies we have to look at. With all the changes in laws, they have to keep up with the laws, and so our policies need to change. So just to kind of help out, I've got a little bit of a key there for you as far as, the bylaws are going to be the mods, I guess I should say. The 0100s are the administration, et cetera, there. You've got some of these policies that are revised, some are replacements, and some are new policies. So, revised policies, and there are going to be a couple here that I'm going to have to back out of, that we'll have to review a little bit further. We've talked before, there may be a time where it's obvious in boards, decision, if you ever want to get to the point of doing a first and a second reading, if that's something we want to get to, you let me know, I can start presenting them over a 2-month period of time. But the revised policies include 0166.1. Do you want me to read all those? There's a slew of them. I mean, they could be in a consent agenda. The couple I want to point out would be 8451, had to do with head lice and bed bugs. It's not us changing the way we're handling those things, but Neola decided to lump them together. And so now they're calling it a parasitic infection. I don't know if they're trying to get away from the language of lice because that bothers people more than parasitic infection. I'm not sure why they made that change. I think it's because they're lumping them together and trying to do it more similarly. I point that one out just because it's been hot button before. And rightly so. 8510 is the wellness policy. Actually, I'd like to wait on having you approve that one just because I haven't had a chance to sit down with Audra and talk that through as much as I'd like. She's not on yet, so 8510 I'd like to wait on. 5640, 5540. There is one change to that one. No, that's not. I'm sorry, it's 554001. 554001 is the actual policy here, so I can discuss to it. And I know it's within the first two paragraphs. This 5540.01 has to do with investigations by the Department of Child Services, DCS. In the second paragraph, it says, when DCS requests permission to interview a student at school, the principal shall attempt to inform the student's parents unless directed not to do so by the DCS representative. The next parentheses was not marked. That should then say, or request the DCS representative inform the student's parents unless one or both of the parents is or are the target of the investigation. So basically, instead of just saying the principal shall do it, the principal shall do it or request the DCS representative for that. Made sense to me. We talked about it today in the admin meeting. It was a good suggestion. So something Jenny threw in there made good sense. That's one change, and then back to the policies of on hold. Otherwise, we're good with what's presented there. That or added in. 5462 is the last one I would reference. That had to do with retaking the class, and Bruce had a lot of input on this one because it's high school mainly that we get into this. One half of that policy is not needed. So if you look at that one, there are just 3 sections. It's A, C, and F that were marked. The bottom half isn't needed. I can bring that one back again, or if you want me to go through and read that one, I can too. But those are the ones I need. So if you want me to bring it back, I can. If you want to go ahead and go with it, and you feel comfortable with that. Or if there are any other policies you'd like to discuss, talk them through.
So as it sits right now, you're just pulling 8510, right?
Correct.
And everything else stays. Are there any questions or comments? Are you comfortable discussing these this evening?
On the 5462, what did you say needed to be struck, taken off?
Doing ones. On
So they're taking the class.
5462.
Retaking of a class, did you say?
Yes. All right, okay, so 5462. A class, here's what it would read. The class may be retaken only if one or more of the following conditions exist. A, the student received a grade of an F in the class. Kind of seems like a no-brainer. Okay, let's take the class again, we got an F. C, the student received a grade of C- or below, and wishes to meet the grade requirements for an academic honors diploma. And then E, rest of that would go away. Everything below that would be gone. If that makes sense.
So just a question, so would that policy being enacted have a change on, let's say, our California and Swedish mark in this last year?
No, you mentioned that you would say, see the reference to handbook.
The
as well.
percentage, yeah, so we've talked about, is a C minus a C? I believe a C minus is a C, because it's not a D, it's not a B, it's a C minus. That's for the academic honors piece. So it would not have changed. And the only other thing I guess we talked about was refer to the student handbook, because this should match exactly what the handbook says.
But now state you can't retake a class and be considered below or included.
No, we didn't.
That says in the handbook. The old policy never said
It
that.
says something in now.
It says that in the handbook now.
Yeah.
I'm just curious,
That
I'm
you
not
can't
open a scan or
retain
anything.
for a better grade.
So is that?
For to be considered, you have to take a class, retake a class in person to be considered.
Yeah, it was an in-person piece, it's in the handbook. So it sounds like we need more discussion on this one. Because we're running here.
I'm fine with it, I was just asking that question because I knew that had come up this year and
It came up this year, we couldn't change it in the middle.
And I wanted it to just, not
Sure,
if it came
sure.
up again, I wanted it to be definitive.
Yeah. It is that way for the class of 2026 and beyond.
Because at one point, we didn't want students to try to get around certain teachers, I guess, is the way I understood it. Is that fair to say?
Very simple.
So you're saying
We
you're
want to have a
keeping
rigorous-
G in it,
Keeping a G in it?
about retaking the class, or you're taking all that out?
So there's A to E at the top, and then below that, it was taking all that out.
Okay.
which would- yeah, take-
And you're just gonna refer to
And
the.
then refer to the handbook.
Okay.
All right, if there's no further questions, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim has made the motion. Seconded by Mark, all those in favor? 7-0. Okay, let's move on to school safety plan.
Okay, so a few years back, well, a couple of years now, the state has required that the board be made aware of the school safety plan. It's not something we really debate the minutia of in public, but we were supposed to at least be presented with it. I've shared that with you. If there are questions, we could have an executive and talk those through, but it's not something we would do in a public meeting. Ultimately, you have to be made aware of it. I have to share it with you, and from there, I'd ask that you approve what I've already shared with you. I can tell you it was updated again, and it is a living document, so it's something we constantly update and refine, and it's not perfect, and it never will be, but we're going to continue to try to refine it to make it better, to keep it as safe as possible.
The only question I had is do you have to update it every time you change employees because the employees are named in the policy?
Yeah.
I did.
And that's kind of a hindrance, but
Yeah.
we're
Is
trying
there
to
any way
tell
we can
people
get
where
around
they can
that?
go
Well,
to.
there's certain, so I know like on Audra's,
Yeah.
on that policy, and there's specifically, we have those team members and they are named because we have to have specific training for that.
But is there any way we can give them a title that the title would be in there and then you would have like
Oh, I'm sure we can figure something
Yeah.
out.
because
But
then
it
we
also-
wouldn't have to renew it all the time.
It just also forces me to go back and look at it and review with Dr. Shem to make sure that we are updating, because we don't get a lot of direction from the state regarding that, so.
And I would think it would be a good thing to update it on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm
And I
probably
know
in
you
it,
do.
yeah, I'm probably in it monthly, just because of different things that come from the state, the safety stuff, but as far as like drills and things like that, we don't get a lot of guidance from the state, it all comes back to local decisions, so there's, it doesn't fall on the state if something happens, so.
questions, comments? Not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Gina has made the motion,
Second.
second by Elise, all those in favor? 7-0. Okay, education operations transfer resolution.
So back years ago, when the state changed the way funds were distributed to schools, they were set up differently. There was a general fund, and some of the operations costs were then, when they were separated out, they ended up over in the education fund, and that education fund has traditionally helped support the operations fund, which is now the vehicle that's used for facilities. The state says that schools can transfer 15% from education operations. We tend to stay below that amount because we keep that money inside of education to pay toward our staff. Each year, in order to move any of those funds, we have to have a resolution. In the past, we've done this more like around January time. This year, with so many unknowns, it felt like we needed to wait a little bit, even on putting a resolution together. What we have is a resolution to approve a transfer from education to operations in an amount up to 13% of the state tuition support, which would be $1.098 $153. That's if we transfer the full amount from education to operations. Again, those dollars in the past were used toward operations and facilities, so we've had to make those transfers. This just allows us to go up to that amount of 13%. We may not go up to that full amount, but right now I'll ask for approval in case that is in the best interest of the corporation to transfer that in dollars. Any questions on that?
There are no questions, do we have a motion? Nick made the motion, Zach with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, approval of recurring transfers.
Yeah, I'm recommending that the board give permission for Vanessa Harmon to make the following fund transfers as needed for the preschool program. Back in September, the board approved transfers from 1,700 preschool parent payments into the account 0101 Education Fund on a semester biannual basis. With the On My Way Pre-K dollars and CCDF funding dollars that were coming in, the following recurring transfers will also need to take place to cover costs associated with the preschool program. Per semester, biannual transfer from Fund 3030 On My Way Pre-K state funds to Fund 0101 Education Fund, and per semester biannual transfer from 6,400 CCDF federal pre-K funds to Fund 0101 Education. And if approved, this transfer, the July 2025 amount consists of $41,300 of On My Way Pre-K funding and $2,808.58 for CCDF funding. So we're almost totally funded a teacher. And so we'll be transferring the dollars into the fund that we pay those teachers out of. Essentially, it's moving the money from one place to another so we can pay them. And then the commentary on that is they've significantly decreased the amount of dollars that they put toward this at the state level. They moved from 6,000 to 2,500 who will get the On My Way Pre-K dollars. And they changed the game quickly, and CCDF was about a year and a half wait, is my understanding, if you're not on that list right now, which is going to present conversations and things we have to talk through when it comes to the preschoolers and how do we go about still doing the best we can for the youngest kids that are in the community. But that's all kind of a separate item. Been getting on my stump here, but first off, we need to approve a transfer of the funds.
Very well. Questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim's made the motion.
Second.
Mark with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, preschool handbook and rates for 2025-2026.
Yeah, previously, most of these rates you see listed were approved already, but I didn't get at the $55 per week half-day price, and I wanted to at least bring that up as well. So the full-day weekly rate is $110 per week. The half-day weekly would be $55 per week. Staff members' reduced rate is $55 per week, and then the part-time daily rate for 2 to 3 days per week is $25 a day. information is included in the handbook, and so I'm asking you to approve both those things at the same time. Pages 57 through 72 would be the Wolfpack preschool handbook. Marcy spent a lot of time on, Marcy Graves and both elementary principals, so put some time into making sure that this is as up to date as possible. Vanessa's also had a hand in it. But we need to get the handbook approved along with those rates. Any questions?
Darrell, is there a motion?
So moved.
Gina has made the motion.
Second.
Elise with the second. All those in favor? So no. Okay, recommendation to approve meal prices and charging policy.
We agreed when Chuck Wells came on board, we were gonna keep the meal prices the same as they were last year. In the future, we'll have to look at that, obviously, as costs go up, we kind of maintain meal prices at a certain level for the last couple of years. That's not changing right now. On page 73, you kind of see the breakdown of that, though. I'm recommending that you approve those meal prices with the charging policy as approved in your packet here. Student meal prices, like I said, they've been unchanged. The only thing that I really thought about here, we've got the adult meals listed. I don't know that we have to have those in this handbook or in this approval. I don't know if this is the place for that to be published or not, but nonetheless, they're here for your consideration. See down the line when it comes to, we had a decent meeting not a bad day, but we had a decently long meeting this morning with representatives from Chuck Wells, and all four principals were there and had a discussion about when the best time to eat that meal might be if you're an elementary principal who works at a middle school. It might be better for you to eat during the middle school meal to get a bigger meal for the same price. So there's some little things we have to learn as we go through. Anyways, questions on any of that?
Hey, what's up?
If there are no questions, do we have a motion? Nick has made the motion. Mark with the second. All those in favor? So, move on to obsolete equipment.
Okay, I said last meeting I was gonna try to get away from bringing this up every meeting. I'm sorry. I'm bringing it up one more time, and we're gonna try to put it off and have a larger batch in the future. But we've got some obsolete items here, page 74. I'm recommending that the list of obsolete equipment, miscellaneous items that need to be cleaned out of the kitchen area, be moved from there. Most of these items are gonna be disposed of. Any of them that still have some value or appear to have some sort of value or working order, we can put out for sealed bids, but they're in the way and need to be moved so that we can make progress.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim made the motion.
Can I ask a question before we do the other motion? So what if this contract with Chartwell's doesn't work out? You just have to purchase all of this stuff again?
These are items that we're waiting on.
Or not? Okay.
I think they've been, like, that situation where you leave something in place because you think you might use it someday,
Yeah, like
and
my
then you go back. Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Gina with the second. All those in favor? 6-0. Okay, non-certified handbook update.
Okay, there's a few things on the non-certified handbook that I need to go back and update. On page 82 of the handbook, the change that was made had to do with ECA field trip driver plan. I needed to put a bracket on the amount of hours. If you're doing a weekend trip, they can't pay you 24 hours a day. If you do a weekend trip, they can pay you 8 hours. But, you got to pay you 8 hours and somebody into a game free, those kinds of things. That's about as much, I think that's appropriate. director listed here. She's technically certified because she has a bachelor's degree, and so really she doesn't show up on the non-certified list, that position doesn't. So I marked off the preschool director from the non-certified in. She's certified. Those should be only changes.
Okay. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Tina has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Nick, all those in favor? 6-0. Permission to hire?
Each year I ask for permission to hire people between the July and August board meetings so that we can start the year fully staffed. I'm asking for that permission again, as I always do. I would bring those individuals and their information, or at least their information to you at August board meeting as requested. But we want to start off fully staffed at all.
Currently, are there any positions that you're especially concerned about that need to be filled?
With the resignation there, we're likely going to need some help in special education, which we're still trying to sit through and have discussions today. That's aside from the other needs of special ed when it comes to life skills. There are 25 kids that are in the life skills program right now between two classrooms, and so we're just we're taking a look and trying to figure out what we need to do there. Of course, some of those kids come from in Southwest Park because of the shared programs. But we're just going to remain cognizant of that and be aware and try to provide the best support to in line with what we can afford. But outside that, it may be a position in the middle school that we need with special ed that is at life schools. Based upon resignation.
Other questions? If there are no, we have a motion to approve. So, Zach has made the motion.
Second.
Kim with the second, all those in favor? 7-0. Okay, purchase request.
I've got a request for athletic item, which would be new wrestling mats. These would be additional mats. Over the last, especially last year, over the last couple of years, the mats we have had to move from place to place relatively frequently. It's been a burden on our maintenance crew, and it's not great for the mats to go from place to place all the time like that. I don't think it will make it easier if we purchase another mat. The cost of these mats are over $10,000, and I want to bring it to your attention. So it's $10,400 for a new set of wrestling mats. They're likely to be stored here at Rockwell Elementary, but that is as of yet to figure out where they're going to be stored. But this is the location where I know actually I did an awful lot of moving back and forth of mats. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense to do that if we can purchase something. Questions on that?
Do we host wrestling meets at here?
We have had wrestling meets here.
They were this last year.
Have we addressed their issue of space? Let's see if we can find more space.
Last I talked to Lisa Wright's members back about it, and spoken with the wrestling coaches, but I've not heard more about it outside of it. They felt like it was handled, is that fair statement?
Felt what?
Felt like it was handled as far as the conversation. I've not talked to the coaches again, the principals have.
I met with them last week, with Lisa and the wrestling coaches, and we worked it out. So
Can't hear you down here at all.
it is handled. At the, it's all going to be at the middle school.
They
They
have-
met last week,
Okay,
so they're going to use the upstairs and but at least the not needed during the rest of the season, the upstairs, which has been an issue in the past, but just a lot of that, so they have.
That's not right. substitute bus drivers, they include Renee Uplander and Terry Beach and Heather Rollins. They've done this for a number of years. I recommend you approve those names.
Any questions? There are no motion to approve. Is that Elise?
Yes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Gina with a second, all those in favor? 7-0. All right, acceptable use policy.
This is the policy that Rebecca Corey changed the date on. And it's exactly the same, except the date is different. We have to get it approved each year. So I'm recommending that you approve the acceptable use policy as written. It's for technology.
All right, if there are no questions, we have a motion.
So,
Zach, make a motion. Mark with the second, all those in favor? 7-0. Okay, this is closed. Move on to the superintendent's report.
We've got just a few things to point out here. So our final preparations, are being made for the 25-26 school year. We're working hard on catching teachers in classrooms left and right. We've been in all sorts of places trying to get buildings ready. Buildings are, I feel like, looking pretty good for this time of year. You're going to see some clutter and such. That's normal. But they really are in decent shape as compared to what maybe they've been some years where we have construction going on. We're hopeful our enrollment's going to bounce back. We don't know until we get all the students registered. This last week I used the new notification system. If you downloaded the app, tried to push a message out that way, and it's nice to be able to do that from a streamlined sort of location from the app. It's nice to use. So it's been good. I tested it once. We had a couple bugs. There are going to be some little bugs we're going to work through, but we're working through it. And Aptigee, the name of the people who run our website, are the same ones who have the app. They've been really good to work with us. We've transferred over from our initial person to our new person who is not just in the build space, but is the kind of constant hand to be there to help us along the way. She's been really helpful. A couple weeks ago, our principals participated in the Celebrity Master Showmanship at the fairgrounds. I don't know if you caught that or not. They dressed up in their Sunday best and represented their corporation, and we're good sports. It's important to be able to laugh at ourselves sometimes. It was good. It was good. It was nice they went out and did that. I think kids respect that. Last thing here, we've got bus driver meeting upcoming. I put the wrong date on here. I put July 22nd. It's really July 30th. That's a couple days before we normally have it. I'd set it a little bit earlier with the hope to maybe give people a couple more days to drive around if they wanted to. It's just always so hard to find line between, do we get them all registered and then before we're going and having people run rounds to see that they're really complete and up to date. And they'll change up through that first week of school and beyond over the course of the year. That's really it for me. My report at this point.
Questions for Mr. Schiff? All right. And we'll move on to comments from the public. Anybody in the public want to speak? Trust any that you signed up? All right, no comments from the public this evening. We'll move on to the next meeting date of August 20th. We'll be back at middle school in the ELC room. And if there is nothing else, then we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming. We'll take a little break here for the executive session.
So it's exciting to be on a new one.
So,
Clearly.